In 1929, Wireless World ran a ballot among the public visiting Radio Olympia, and in the main supply units category, EKCO took first place with their C2A eliminator. The resultant publicity and the immense rush of orders necessitated expansion. It was time to move. In 1930, the Southend Standard announced the plans for a great new EKCO factory in a cabbage field off Priory Crescent in Prittlewell. Dr. Going of the Southend Museum recorded that the factory covered an area of 80,000 square feet and absorbed most of the unemployed people of Southend. Writing in April 1986, Ken Godsill, who was an apprentice toolmaker at the time, described the factory as an oblong building in the middle of a field. The front of that building was occupied by offices and the experimental department. Behind that was the canteen, and further beyond extended the production area, comprising of coil winding, HT and LT units and small parts assembly for radio production, which a little later included radiogram production. The packing, goods in, and dispatch departments completed the site at the time. With demand for radio receivers booming in the 1930s, EKCO dared to be different from its competitors, abandoning the then typical all-wood radio cabinets. It was the start of a decade of innovation in design and production, expanding ranges of revolutionary products and extreme prosperity. The speed with which the decision was taken to use Bakelite cabinets was typical of the joint ability of both Eric Cole and Billy Verrills to seize an opportunity when it came. Presented with a good idea, Eric would at once say yes. EKCO management would have been aware of the need for new and striking designs, and through their chief buyer Tony Ratcliffe, committed to an agreement with AEG in Germany for the use of Bakelite for the manufacture of their radio cabinets. The first cabinets were designed by L. Smithers, and in the following year, the RS2s and RS3s were designed by John Kenneth White, otherwise known as Jake White, the head of the design studios. The first station dial with a scale marked with the names of the stations were also starting to be added to selected models. However, the catastrophic public developments of 1931 had a huge impact on EKCO's plans. The Wall Street crisis of 1929 had already knocked America out of the world's financial markets, but Europe staggered on until rash subprime lending by Creditanstalt in Austria brought the whole system crashing down 2 years later. Yet in September 1931, EKCO was floated on the stock exchange, successfully defying the reigning financial chaos. In November 1931, the new national government imposed large import duties on foreign goods, but with a discount for the empire. The situation became such that the huge plastic presses had to be imported from AEG suppliers, but the building that would house them at the EKCO factory was not quite ready, so disastrously, the 1931 cabinets that had been produced in Germany, such as the M23 and SH25, designed by Jake White, had to be used again for the Radio Olympia show and at the National Radio Show at the Paramount Theatre in Manchester in 1932-33, just as the big slump hit the trade. Orders fell by half, and production came to a halt with only a skeleton staff remaining employed, mainly key people, foremen, some charge hands, and technical people. Only one section remained very busy, and that was the tool room, which made the jigs and tools without which new production could not start. It was an optimistic sign at an otherwise unhappy time. The bank put in an administrator, and Cole and Verrills bought the shares of the original investors, Manners and Maxwell, who wanted to sell the stock cheaply to a wholesaler, but Ernie Preing stayed the course with the company. EKCO responded by looking further afield, and won the contract to provide the new convection heaters for the ocean liner Queen Mary, which was under construction by Cunard. It immediately went into the production of the thermovent heaters, with the cabinets designed by Wells Wintermute Coates. A large fire broke out one night in February 1932 which destroyed the main offices and laboratories. Ken Godshill and a foreman managed to rescue vital models from the experimental department while the main production area was being saved by the fire service, which had arrived on the scene. The Southend Standard reported that office routine had been restored after 3 days, with the executives working next to typists and clerks in a hastily cleared portion of the factory, and production was back in full swing after only 5 days. Cole and Verrells once again seized a profit opportunity at the height of the crisis. They invited a number of celebrated architects and furniture designers to submit innovative new designs for cabinet radios. Architect Raymond McGrath, whose major architectural projects included the design of the BBC studios at Broadcasting House in London, produced various pen and ink designs for radio cabinets with an Art Deco styling, the most notable of which was the EKCO Model D in 1934. Russian-born British architect Serge Chermayeff was invited to design a new style of Bakelite wireless cabinet and produced drawings for the EKCO in 1933, from which Dr. Going would report a 100% increase in sales. The technical performance and price were very attractive too, and the Southend Standard made the point in reporting that 1 in 5 workers were engaged in testing and inspection. Wells Coates was also bought in, but rather than follow the standard cabinet shape like others, he exploited the properties of Bakelite with his own modernist ideas, introducing the AD65 in 1932, which went into production 2 years later, and became one of Britain's most popular radios. The severe geometric shape, which was designed to fit a circular speaker and featured a large, readable station indicator with 3 control knobs below it, defined the visual vocabulary of radio design for many years. It was made available in the additional colors of pearl ivory and onyx green, and Coates produced several variations of it through to 1945. Further cabinet designs were put forward by Jesse Collins, who designed the British Odeon-style AC97 in 1936, Sir Misha Black, the UAW78 in 1937, and F.C. Ashford. On the 25th of August, 1932, the Southend Standard described row upon row of 2,000 workers. A slowly moving belt laden with components, the girls making windings, reeling on the wire at a great pace with a production bonus system in place. What wonderful workers the girls are! Soldering, riveting, screwing and turning out work which cannot fail to inspire admiration. Transformers taking shape under these dainty and dexterous fingers using tools which could scarcely be more up-to-date with 1/5 of the line devoted to testing, and they all take a real interest in their work. Michael Lipman was the UK representative of AEG recruited by EKCO, and in August 1932, he oversaw the installation of the 3 great hydraulic presses by a team of AEG engineers, who also started the production line. With pressures of 1,000, 1,600 and 2,000 tons to press out the cabinets, they were the largest in the country, and with the architect-designed cabinets and the round radio set, plastics production became a European record. Radio Olympia was barely 20 weeks away, yet Lipman left with an inquiry for 20,000 cabinets in 3 tones, dark jade, dark mahogany and medium oak, and required a separate speaker in matching cabinet, the LS1 and LS2. The team of Cole and Verrells sent it back for a costing for 100,000. Eric Cole later reflected that the sets disappeared into smoke at Radio Olympia as enthusiastic dealers rushed into order. The Sunday Times quoted Carol Hogban, director of the wireless show at the Victoria and Albert Museum, as saying it was the greatest furniture invention since the wheel. The first radio recorder was developed but abandoned for legal reasons. The Seaborne convector heaters were converted for shops, and EKCO were one of the first to produce car radios. A radio in a motorcar was almost unknown during this period, and in most cases, the car had to be brought to the factory where the radio was fitted by an engineer. Lamp and valve production soon followed, challenging the cartel. Before the start of the Second World War, the government decided to disperse certain production to locations away from likeliest bombing targets. This led to a shadow factory being established by EKCO at Cowbridge House in Malmesbury, Wiltshire, followed by others at Aylesbury, Woking, Preston, and Rutherglen. The wartime headquarters of EKCO was based at Aston Clinton House in Buckinghamshire. The colossal task of moving an entire major factory was accomplished in one gigantic effort. At Whitsun 1940, the ministry diverted a vast fleet of lorries to Southend, and the police completely closed the A40 from Aylesbury, the North Circular, and all lanes of the A127. The whole radio production and its ancillary departments, including the machine shop with all its heavy equipment, the tool room and its machinery and maintenance department, were all installed into two old factory buildings while keeping interruption to production at Southend to an absolute minimum. In the third and final part, disagreement about peacetime plans led to further internal problems, and in March 1945, both Eric Cole and William Verrells placed their resignations before a board meeting. One resignation was accepted. One was not. Thank you for watching.